my friend who recently passed away had shown up in this dream. And it was very interesting because if you've ever played Sims, like the way that you would play, um, it takes the roof and the ceiling off, so you're kind of like looking into a box almost. That's how the dream layout was. And my friend showed up, and essentially I was with her, and it was an attempt to keep her on the material plane, like, from passing away. And so like we were dressing up really pretty and cute, and like preparing to go out for dinner and kind of go out for drinks maybe and do something, to cheer her up and keep her wanting to be here.
Mhm.
And it was very brief. And when it comes to dreams about people, what was significant about this dream for me is I know almost immediately whether or not the dream is visitation or
Mhm.
just a manifestation of my brain.
Mhm.
This dream I had, I cannot say one way or the other. It's like when someone passes away, one of the aspects of grieving is denial. And I feel like in my waking space, I've been very good not to fall into that denial. But in the dream space, I think my unconscious self is having difficulty with that.
No, I 100% get that. And before I truly started doing the healing work and like the grieving process with my grandmother, I had like the repeated dream experience of when she would come in my dream, we would be doing things that we usually do, or it was like, she never transitioned. And then at a certain point in the dream, I was like, wait a minute, like you're dead. And then the dream would collapse. And that's like literally like, and now doing dream work and everything, I know that that was like a part of my psyche that was trying to help me acknowledge and get out of that space of denial, because when I would wake from those dreams, it had like a very heavy emotional
Mm-hmm.
feeling at times, depending on what was happening. It was kind of like it hit me like a nightmare. Like it just kind of like rocked me for the rest of the day. Because I was like, I didn't want to acknowledge that. I didn't want to like really be seeing her in my dream space and so on. Well, welcome to Journey Through the Innerverse. We are so excited to be here for the Dark Moon Dream Reflections chat, as the new moon is coming very soon on July 14th. So Alexis and I are going to reflect on how our dream space has been since the Gemini new moon, which was on June 14th. But first, Alexis, how are you doing? How are you feeling today?
Oh, I feel great today. I really do. I've been just relaxing. I feel like the last couple of days has been really nice. And yeah, yesterday I went to a local cafe, which is literally like my favorite cafe ever. I could live at this cafe. It used to be a funeral home, and then they turned it into a cafe, and the people live upstairs. And like the way that they maintain the cafe is so reflective of how much they love the place. Like there's so much soul. And like, you go through and you look at like things you don't normally look at when you go to a cafe. Like their door hinges are all like carved, like these beautiful brass carved pieces. Like everything's a piece of art. It's the attention to detail is great. So I went there yesterday and just kind of indulged in some writing, and I went home and made some beef pho and slept really good last night. So I'm feeling pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm feeling really good in this moment. It's been quite a week for me. I would say, yeah, about almost 7 days has been pretty emotionally intense. And I am on my period or at the tail end of it. So it synced up really nicely with the PMS and then going into the bleed. And I am feeling a lot better. Like when I think about it, just as I'm like, it just works so perfectly because now my period is ending. And so I'm feeling lighter and lighter each day. What's the name of this coffee shop that you're talking about? Because I want to know if it was
Oh, it's called Three Birds Cafe.
right. So they have the birds, and this is the one where they have the birds in
Oh
there.
yeah, and yeah,
Yeah.
they have two birds. It's funny because the name is actually based on the couple who owns it and the husband's brother. So like they went into business together, so they're three birds. But
Hmm.
they do actually have two birds in their green room, and they're so cute. Cleo is a disabled African gray, and so her wings feathers grew the opposite direction they're supposed to.
Wow.
So she's rehabbed and now integrated into the experience. And Beetle, she's a little green, some kind
Parakeet.
of parakeet.
Okay.
But and she's Beetle's got an attitude, and I love her. And like she knows me, so every time I go in, she'll like scooch up to the front of the cage and like she'll literally put her head against the cage bars, and she'll take her one foot and like brush herself to
Hmm.
indicate she wants you to pet her.
Oh,
So like I probably shouldn't, but I mean, she's telling me she wants pets.
yeah.
I'm not going to not pet her. And so I'll give her little head scritches, and she it's just such a fun experience to like go somewhere and like have animals available, but they're not like in the main area, so you don't have to worry about like dander and feathers and whatnot. Like it's
Yeah.
clean.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah.
No, I love that. I love like I always have to find like a cafe and a place like just like unique cafes like that I live for. And when I go to places when I travel or when I move or I'm visiting someone, that's one of the favorite things I love to do. And so at some point when I visit you, I have to go there because I knew
I
this was
want to bring you
been
so
telling
bad.
me about for so long. And I didn't know that it was an old funeral home. So that adds to like my excitement to go there because I can just, I was trying to, as you were speaking about it, I was trying to like feel or thinking about like my first impression and what I would feel walking in there because I'm so like body sensitive to places and
Mm-hmm.
spaces. So I could just like, I'm already getting, yeah, I'm tuning in.
It's so like I don't know how to explain it, but every single detail is like accounted for, and there's so much love and intention put into it. And like it was an old funeral home, but when you walk in, it doesn't feel like immensely heavy. Like
Yeah,
it's there's a light energy. And it's cool
yeah.
too because like you walk in and you go to the room to the left or to the right, and it's like a dining area and like brightly lit. And then you go to the room next to it, and there's like a meeting room that's brightly lit, but then like a couch and some chairs that are a little dimmer.
Mhm.
And then you can continue to go back to the back of the building, and there's like a darker room that's more
I love
stained glass and like dimly lit, and like an art room, and then a back room that's like very brightly lit and like secluded, and then they have a whole like back seating area outside that's like nicely sheltered with the trees and stuff. And it's just perfect. It is my favorite place to go. Like there are a handful of really great cafes in my area, but this one just it is
that. Yeah. Well,
unmatched.
I just like have this like little desire to wherever I root myself, I at some point when I can have like a spot like that, I would love to have my own little cafe. Like I have always like wanted that. And it'd be like a little used bookstore or something or like a little library. Ugh, I just
Yes,
anyway.
100%. I've been thinking like I would love to have like a used bookstore and like recycle like you know like sell books that just because there's so many books that have been put in print for so long, and there's so many books that are just random that you would never find anywhere else. Like
Mhm.
there's this one book that I found. I'll grab it real quick because it's right next to me. I think it's right next to me, but it is a beautiful children's book. I figured I'd just come and get it. There's this beautiful children's book that I found at a used bookstore, and it is essentially just talking about the wind and
Oh,
like stories of each type of wind and cloud.
oh,
Like it's just so beautiful, and like I'll show you the like an example, like pressure systems. The little poem about
pretty.
pressure systems, and it's like this beautiful like
Like
watercolor.
that's feeding our inner child. I love it. That's
I know.
this is such a perfect introduction to our conversation. Like I'm thinking about the wind and
Mm-hmm.
just the element of air with Gemini, and we're moving into the new moon with Cancer. Wow. And then there's a child there, and we're talking about a children's book. We're talking about, like the inner child healing. That's such a perfect introduction to our shares today. I'm just
It is
when it synchronizes
it
like
is such a beautiful, but this is just an example of like, you wouldn't find this at a store. It's been out of print for who knows how long. I mean, it's literally yellow.
yeah, right? Yeah.
Like let me see when, and I love this too because it was an old library book, so it still
Oh,
has like
I love it.
the little thing in it,
Yeah.
and it's marked from 1971 on the
Library.
library
Yeah.
card slot.
Yeah.
But
Oh, I
like
love that.
the beauty of having like a used bookstore is you just there's so many different, yeah, this was published in 1970.
Wow.
um and but there's so many lost books
Hmm.
that aren't in publication anymore that you could just find randomly, and
Hmm.
like to be able to have a place, a container for those things, even if it was a library for used books.
Hmm.
It's such a cool. I always wanted to do like a library cafe.
Yeah.
Um,
I love, oh my gosh. That's like my dream. Maybe we can have like sister cafes, like wherever we are, like you have yours and then I have mine, and then there's like some connection.
mm,
And so when people travel, they have to like, it's a thing to go to both. That'd be so sweet.
yes, that
Yeah.
would be amazing. Oh, I
That's
love
so,
it.
this is, I'm like blown away, guys, listeners. This was so not planned the way we just started this. And her and Alexis and I talked at least 30 minutes to like an hour before we start the podcast recording. And we didn't plan to talk about this. We were talking about other things. And I love how this topic just like this conversation just naturally unfolded in this way, because when we think about Gemini, of course we're thinking about books, writing, libraries, cafes is like that social engagement interaction, just being in your local neighborhood or your local environment and experiencing that. And then when we think about Cancer, there's this like warm, cozy vibe, almost like that. Like I think about vintage, I think about my inner child, I think about just like that nostalgic feeling of like, I mean, I have a box right now of VHS tapes that I've been going through here at my mother's house. And it's like, so all of this olden energy is so perfect. And I'm just blown away by how this is all starting. So, I mean, you really
That
can't.
nostalgia is
Yeah.
really strong, and
Yeah.
that like the Mercury in retrograde with that, like we had talked about in our last, was it the last episode? Did we do the last episode
Mercury
of Mercury
retrograde.
retrograde? I mean, we talked about how nostalgia is one of those things that's going to come up in your, waking space, but also the dreaming space, and it really has been showing up. And I love it too because it is bringing emotions to the forefront
Yeah.
and communication. And I think that's something that is so beautiful. I mean, even just the conversations between my husband and I about, different things growing up that we really enjoyed. It's been, or, spending time with my sister and like reflecting on, moments in the past. I know we talked about, some things that my mom used to do that were like really we wish still like happened, or like just reminiscing of being in that space, like it'd be an autumn day and you're home from school and it's dark already because it's, that time of the year. And, mom's made like homemade soup and she picked up a horror movie from Walmart on our way home from work. So we're all going to sit and eat the soup while we watch a horror movie together as a family. And just like these things that were so meaningful, because it's easy to look back on your childhood and kind of pick out the bad things because it's impactful. It hits when you're hurt. It can feel more impactful than like the good feelings. But with this energy, I'm really feeling that like nostalgia in a positive. Like I would love to, like, even just getting like oh my God, there was this magazine that we used to get. It was called like something like Oriental something. And
Mhm.
it was just like a bunch of random stuff you could buy when you
Oh
would buy
yeah, you were telling me
magazines.
about this. Yeah. I think did you
And
tell me about this recently? I'm like, what's this?
no, we probably talked about this like years
No,
ago.
someone else I think mentioned this.
That's so
I don't
funny.
if it wasn't you.
No, because I haven't talked about this with you in probably like over a year. But like
Oh
we would
yeah.
get that in the mail and it would just be like it would be a lot of like imagine like Party City, but in like a magazine and it's
Yeah.
not Party City.
Yeah.
And so like I remember around autumn time or like September area time and we would get that magazine and I would be like on the floor like laying on the floor on my stomach like looking at the Halloween costumes while like we had lit candles in the house and my mom had just cleaned or something and it's just like these little things that are just like
Hmm.
bringing us back. And I don't know, I'm as emotional and heavy things can feel with this. I'm really appreciative of that nostalgia coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's definitely been a major theme. And it's so funny as we're talking about this, and I was reflecting on this, I feel the past couple of days, because whenever I do like back in the day, air quotes, when I used to do cosmic climate, every time I sat and did a video and just shared whatever I was like my perspective and everything, like those things would come to fruition. Like the energy was just like, and it kind of freaked me out in a way. Like sometimes it was amazing, sometimes I was like, oh, um, but it's like happening again, where it's like I will be talking about these things and like, or you and I will be talking about it, and then it's like boom, boom, boom. And so recently I did a video on Mercury retrograde. And actually this one was Jupiter and Leo. And I was speaking about the inner child healing and how, this is a time where we might, or at least in my perspective, in my practice, like I am doing my best to kind of like step out of like the judgment of things and just acknowledging. And I think you and I talked about this, but acknowledging how our parents, they were doing the best that they could with like the state of consciousness and their maturity and their like healing, wherever they were doing the best that they could essentially. And they are a product of their own conditioning within their childhood and so on and so forth.
Yep.
And so that has been really on my mind. And, I'm, like I said, I'm home visiting my mother and family and friends. And I come here every year, but I don't know what it is about this year where I'm like, oh, my mom's like, oh, let me give you this box of stuff. Or, my daughter, she really loves seeing like pictures of me when I was little, pictures of my mom and stuff, just like those old stuff. And so she requested to pull out all the old photo albums, which like all my stuff from school came out. And then she's like even I'm like, this isn't even your stuff. And like, you're really excited. So I've just been in this space of like heavy nostalgia, like looking at the VHS tapes. And it's like, and even seeing stuff on my social media as far as like millennials, and remember back before we had the internet, remember back before we had, like the phone, all of that stuff, or cell phones. And it's like, how do we entertain ourselves? Or like you would see stuff pop up about Blockbuster, like you were just saying, like renting a movie.
Oh God, to go to a
Walmart.
Blockbuster, I would give I would give something to go to a Blockbuster right now. on a rainy day, like
Right?
going, grabbing a movie, picking out a snack, like just the whole
I remember
ritual.
renting
It was a
like
ritual.
rental,
That's why
like
it felt so good because it was something like we did every Friday night. So, everybody was there. You would see people, friends, and like,
candy,
coworkers or whatever. And
popcorn.
like, it was such like
Nice
a
vibe.
tangible, earthy experience too, because, you actually like picked it up and
Yeah,
left with
and
it.
looked at
Like,
it. Yeah.
I have an issue with like all of the streaming. At this point, to have everything, you might as well be paying for cable, especially
Oh
because
yeah.
like even if you get the lowest tier, you're getting commercials with the lowest tier a lot of the times. So it's like, what's the point? And
Yeah.
then there's so many options.
There's
And
oh
you
my
spend
God. Yeah.
so much time going through all the options. Who knows how long it takes for you to even pick something? And it just doesn't feel as authentic as it used to feel back then.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
wonder if
Like
movies. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I wonder if, maybe since we're seeing such a rise in bookstores again, because I mean, there are so many bookstores opening up that I have seen, and then also I heard that Barnes and Nobles is opening up like 63 new stores.
Really?
So like yeah, people are really trying to get back to that tangible experience of like reading and having books. I wonder if we might do a similar thing with like a movie store
Yeah.
where
Well,
like you could.
yeah, and it's like I'm just so curious about I don't know. I've personally been feeling a little overwhelmed with my nostalgia because I'm like, where does it end? Like it's like the emotion is like really intense
Mhm.
and then I think about the present moment and I'm like, okay, I need to honor where we are now. And it's like, what do I value? And this is something I'm still reflecting on. And this, I'm going to open this up to those of you listening too. And this could be something that we can start with this new moon. But it's like, what do I value in this present reality? Like, I don't know. Cause it's like, if I'm thinking about another 30 to 40 years down the line, it's like, where will we be? Because that wasn't like, I mean, I'm only 40 years old, and it's like things are so much different. Like technology has advanced so much in that short amount of time. I'm just like, where I'm, now we have AI. So I'm just like, I get freaked out about certain things just with what's real, what's not real. And I have to really teach my daughter that's something like I'm like, don't believe anything. Your default when you're on the internet and you're watching stuff, do not believe anything that you are seeing. Like that's the default. Like
That's
really
a
look
great lesson to
into
teach her at
it
such a young
right now.
age
That's where we're
too.
starting. As she gets older, that'll, deepen in advance, and like we'll learn more about discernment. But I'm like, right now, don't believe anything. Or like, you come to me. And she's really good about asking me, like, oh, is this real? Is this true? You know, um, so it's like I think that I'm just trying to really just sit with what I value, what feels good in this moment too, as I'm reflecting on the past, because I feel like the past, it goes by, time does fly. And so, it's like, I don't know, like even relationships, I'm like, I feel that I didn't nurture them and I wasn't as present as I wished I would have been. And I'm like learning that as I'm spending time and catching up with friends that I've known for like since my childhood. And I'm like getting their perspective on our relationship. And so it's been an interesting dynamic. And so I think just personally for me, that is what I'm coming into with the Cancer new moon.
Oh, 100%. I feel that so strongly. And what you said about how like there's so much nostalgia, where does it end? Like when is it gonna kind of like alleviate, but also like, kind of addressing these things coming up too, maybe as a dream. Think about it. If these things showed up in a dream, how would you interpret it, and how would you use that? How would you intertwine it into your existence? You're like, maybe we are being called to look upon all of these things that we experience so we can pull with us what mattered and leave behind what isn't serving us anymore. And like you said, you feel like maybe you didn't nurture the relationships as much as you should have or wanted to, or whatever it may be. Now you're observing that, you're acknowledging it, and you can move forward with a new perspective and a new way to approach things. And I think the fact that this, like, the new moon is going to be in Cancer, and then the Mercury in Cancer in retrograde, the Sun in Cancer, we're really feeling that
Mm-hmm.
home, family, nostalgia, emotional experience. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of, I know that we're always doing shadow work, especially with the planets and what they're kind of pushing us to be observing and acknowledge, but like it almost feels like this type of shadow work we're going through right now with Cancer is so important to not just like reflect on the past, but pull it up with you, you
Yeah,
know?
that's what I was just like, as you were speaking, I wrote integrating. And it's like, it made me think about also just how everything's happening simultaneously. And so it's like those memories are still there, which is another Cancer like quality or term or association is the memory.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like I still have these relationships or we still have these experiences that really we feel really deeply about. And it's like, how do we integrate them into the now because they're still with us, right? And we can take that into our future. And I mean, what you and I shared about as far as like having a cafe as like a used bookstore or a library and so forth, it's like we're still like we're taking that nostalgic, like that love, that coziness, that energy that we love about just having a tangible book and like sitting and having like tea or coffee with someone and having a conversation and being like in a real time space, like we're carrying that into like with us as time
Mm-hmm.
progresses. And that's something obviously that is timeless. Like there's always been cafes and books and having those like that quality time with people. And so I see one of the things coming forth too is because like even with Gemini, like that is like the tech sign and also like we said, networking. And so I love how it's kind of just blending together and being able to just like we have this technology and obviously we need to really put some parameters around it and boundaries, but it is something that's carrying us through. And it's something like, I'm grateful for technology because I wouldn't probably know you if like
No?
we're still on pen pal status. Like I like,
Right.
what I mean?
Like, I
So
mean, maybe
yeah.
maybe we would, like, if we went back to like if we were in the 90s right now, and like there was some kind of Dreamwork magazine or some kind
Oh
of Dreamwork
my
like
gosh.
connection, I don't know, like something you could write into. We could have essentially met through
Yeah.
that, or even like if we did, like, I
We're
don't know,
gonna
some
meet
kind
from
of retreat, where we met at like a dream work retreat. But it would have been different. It would
yeah.
just have been a different experience because we wouldn't be having these conversations to
Mhm.
share with other people like this as
Yeah.
frequently as we're having. We'd probably be talking on the phone, and you can only do so much over the
Right. Yeah.
phone. It's private. And so absolutely, it's definitely like, I'll over here, I will, I have a habit of poo-pooing technology because of its bad qualities, but there's also the acknowledgement of the good qualities that we really should acknowledge and give that win to. But the other thing I wanted to bring up in regards to the Cancer placement with the moon, the new moon, and of course the other placements in Cancer is, I'm noticing that this is a time for healing the mother wound. And I mean, I'm having this, whether it's just thinking about aspects of my mother from when I was a kid where she really showed up. And like I said, when you go through a lot of trauma and you have a complicated relationship with your parents, it can be easier to remember those moments where they didn't show up or where they hurt you. But I'm noticing that I'm having a lot of memories of my mom really showing up for me when I was younger. And I'm approaching my relationship, my idea and perception of our relationship a little bit differently. Now, I don't think it's going to be healed overnight, and I don't think it's going to be healed the way that I would like it to heal, because when it comes to the expectations of your parent, I feel like we all tend to hope that they'll eventually be what you need them to be,
Mhm.
but that's not reality. They're never going to be exactly what you need them to be. So it's kind of like a good time to see them for who they are rather than what you want them to be.
Mhm.
And even like I know I have particularly with my mom, I have a lot of issue around affection, like hugging and stuff like that feels very uncomfortable because my mom is the type where she'll be really intense, really extreme, kind of nasty, and then want to hug you and want to be like touchy feely. And when you have that so frequently, the it feels like I'm not a very touchy feely person in general. And then when you're like kind of treating me poorly, I definitely don't want to touch you. And
Mhm.
so for a long time, hugging her felt just alien, uncomfortable, like, ugh. But I went over her house this week and my sister was there. And at one point, so we were watching a movie. She made soup. It was really nice. And she was like, come over and like cuddle with me. Just like lay with me on the couch. And normally I would say no because it feels foreign and it feels forced. But I kind of was like, you know what? Sure. Why not? Let me try to heal this a little bit for myself. And I did. And then my sister came over and she was like, so my mom was angled on the couch and then I was angled leaning on her and then my sister was angled leaning on me. And we were just watching this movie and it was kind of rainy and there was soup and it felt so comforting,
Mhm.
especially in a way that normally would make me feel like I want to jump out of my skin. So I feel like healing that mother wound right now, with Cancer being, and the moon and having that motherly energy, like it's really coming through in this healing way.
Mhm. So, like when I was, as you're sharing, I'm just thinking about how it's said that the more and more work you do on yourself, like the dynamics within your relationships change. And it's interesting because it's like, was I also like blocking something here? Because, like for obviously for good reasons, good or like who's to say nothing's good or bad in the case, but just from your own experience in your own garden and your walls up, like maybe you never gave her, or most of the time you didn't give her the opportunity to authentically express in that way. So maybe she like had to giggle and be annoying and just be like, come here, you know? And like but it's and maybe it wasn't that way, but it's just interesting to see the different perspectives, because it's like, well, also you've been doing so much work on yourself, you've been a little bit more like emotionally vulnerable and your heart's been like cracked wide open recently. And so it's like, I know just interacting with you over the past couple of weeks, like you just always have a glow. Not to say you didn't before, but there's just like I could feel like a shift. Like I feel like an elevation, like an exaltation in a way. And because of the work that you've been doing, and again, because your heart's been cracked open. And so it's like when people have those profound shifts and they handle it in a graceful way, your environment reflects that. Your environment reflects the changes. So it'll be interesting as you do more and more work and show up, unapologetically how you are received, and how the interactions with people in your life go. And like it's not always going to be like amazing and perfect because everyone, like we're all human, but it's like when people say when your mom is in the space or the energy that you don't prefer, like you will probably be triggered, but it's not to the extent that you were even before. It's kind of just like, oh, well, I'm gonna go home, or like, yeah, I
Right. No,
you're good.
exactly.
That's you.
Rather than getting super,
Yeah, so you
because like
switch it.
what
Yeah.
I would, I had so much trauma from the type of relationship that we had, that even as an adult, it would trigger me, and I would take it very personal,
Mm-hmm.
because it feels very personal, when you are rejected, judged, bullied in one way or the next by a parental figure. It really has such a it just cuts such a deep wound, like when your first bully is your parent. It's really bizarre,
Mm-hmm.
and it puts a wedge between,
Yeah.
and it's especially with your mother, like that's supposed to be the person who nurtures you the most.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the complexity of that. And like, of course, I at this point can recognize, the, my grandmother's mother and her had a bad relationship. My grandmother and my mom had a bad relationship. Me and my mom had a weird relationship, and it's getting better because I'm doing a lot of work on myself and have been for years. But my mom has been doing work on herself too. It may not be at the pace that like I've been with it, because of different circumstances and what's been available to us and whatnot, but and also just personality differences. But she is doing work, and I'm seeing it and I'm acknowledging it and I'm taking that into consideration. And I also really acknowledge that, like, yeah, like we talked about, our parents did the best that they could with what they had. And that's something that I continuously remind myself. Like, I can still be hurt, but also be grounded.
Mm-hmm.
But this time has just been very interesting, and I do find it fascinating. My mom and I both have the same sun and moon sign, so we're both Libra sun, Aquarius moon. But I have a Scorpio rising, and she has a Cancer rising.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to see the way that our similarities come out, and then where our differences lie, like just the Scorpio and Cancer rising differences, and how like I'm a little more distant. I'm not very touchy feely, lovey dovey, where that Cancer energy from a mom is very like that, very like needy, very, and with the two different, like I like to go into my own when I'm struggling. I like to kind of be by myself, and I like to it's a very internal experience, where I feel like that Cancer energy is very like family, communal. We experience this together, and we're just so different in those ways that I feel like there was a lot of taking it personally on her end and feeling kind of offended by our different ways of experiencing certain things. So even just looking at the astrology of our charts and where like our struggles come in, it's fascinating. It's just fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can relate to this conversation, as like I feel like relationships right now are just going through a healing process.
Mm-hmm.
I have been definitely healing my relationship. Whenever I'm here with my mom for an extended period of time, I have no choice. It's like the whole generation where it's like my daughter, myself, and my mom, and then my grandmother's spirit is in this house as well. And so there's like so much healing, so much feminine energy. And so naturally, that is something I experience. And it definitely deepened this year as I've been doing like the root chakra stuff. So, like healing my sense of belonging, like my sense of worth. And a lot of that uh, fractured aspect too of the root for me had to do with my childhood upbringing, which was a similar upbringing as my mom, which had dealt with like violence and abuse in the home.
Right.
In my mom's case, to her physically. And And also, I've been noticing as I've been doing the work there, I've been seeing that reflected in her experiences with her resources and her personal security. But then also, naturally, I've been doing heart work, heart chakra work too. And more so in the end of receiving, allowing myself to receive love, allowing myself to be supported and so forth. And my mother was the hardest one to receive because one, I'm pretty sure that's her love language is like whatever the gifts one is, like to give gifts basically.
Hmm.
Um and but it was a little bit distorted. Like that was almost like a power thing. And so it was
Hmm.
interesting because I'm learning to receive, and then she has been the one to support me the most in that. I would say financially and with other things. And so I have been able to navigate and heal a lot of that because as the resources in that aspect that's been fractured has been stabilized, she has been helping more. And I can see like that is her true love language. But all of us have experienced when we are not in the position to help, or maybe we're not in the position to do the things that we want to do, but there's like such a passion and love for it. And we get frustrated because we can't do it or in the way that we desire. But then sometimes we project that on the people that we're trying to help or whatever it is that we're trying to do. And it comes out, it just doesn't come out right. I'm like seeing that situation for what it is and not taking it personally. I've been practicing stepping out of it. And that has greatly benefited our relationship because also it doesn't really feel good too when people reject your gifts. So like you're trying to help someone, they really need your help. And you're like, no, I'm good, or don't worry about it. Why did you do that? Or like, because I mean,
Right.
it's good to give.
Hmm.
So there's been healing within that. And just to take it into the dream space, I haven't really been writing. I haven't really, I think there may have been one dream that I wrote or was gonna write and I recorded it. Didn't like remember to like check for it. Um, but I haven't really been writing my dreams, but my dream space has been so busy, so vivid. I've been having a lot of visitations from like, well, not visitations, but my grandmother did, was in my dream over the past couple weeks since that new moon. I've been having dreams involving just like the people in the dream were people from middle school and high school, which I've seen middle school, high school friends since I've been here. So it's been happening in waking life and in the dream space, ex-boyfriends, like all the stereotypical stuff that we speak about with Mercury retrograde and what we shared about dreams. That's been happening. And it's so interesting how my dreams, like there was one like very powerful dream I had a couple days ago, and I've been basically asking my friends like how they perceive my friendship with them. And one just kind of it just kind of came up like naturally. And it really had me look at myself and just how I am in relationships. And long story short, I had a dream that like really cracked me open in a way where like it had to do with physical touch and um looking at this person differently, and I didn't want to. There was like a fight. Like in the dream I was in the perspective of wanting the physical touch and the person was like kind of rejecting me or not paying me any mind, so I was getting their perspective. But in the waking life it's the opposite, but I felt like my psyche was like, put your guard down, like open up your heart,
Hmm.
like just be gentle with it, or like there's something here that needs to be addressed. And I was fighting it the whole day. It was like the most emotional day I've had in a long time. But anyway, so I feel my dream space has been really helping me to let my guard down around my heart and just really opening myself to receive love. So that's been my theme for this window of time. And so I'm curious to see what's going to come forth in this next cycle. What about you? How's your dream space been?
Well, first, I just want to comment on the fact that having a dream like that is so powerful. Oftentimes we don't, we can be very, in general, as a human race, we can keep things from people. We don't always open up and say what is bothering us or what is, affecting us in one way or the next. As a lot of people I know, whether whether they feel like they don't want to burden or they don't want to cause an issue or whatever it may be. So like a lot of the times these types of conversations like you had with your friends, they don't happen. So
Yeah.
the fact that your friend opened up and kind of discussed that with you, and then on top of that, you had an experience where you felt what they were feeling from their perspective is such a powerful, it's just so powerful for a shift and really trying, like, really understanding from their point of view what that experience is like. We can just get really caught up in our own stuff, and it can be, I find for myself, I don't tell people what I want or need or what's bothering me. And I know that's at my fault. It's my fault because if you don't know, you can't change it. And that's kind of just something that a lot of us fall into. So the fact that this was a conversation, you had the experience of being with her and feeling it from, just being told what it's like and then actually experiencing it. Like I can absolutely understand one, how emotional that would be, but then two, like how that shift, how breaking that heart open and how to move forward with that, just how powerful that is for your path forward and like just a deeper understanding of yourself in different relationships. It's so, sorry I'm going on about this. It's just,
Oh,
it's
you're
really fascinating to have the perspective change, like to really be in the opposite position. But in regards to my dreams, I've been in a space where I know I've been needing rest. I've not been remembering a lot of my dreams. I feel like I have a chip on my shoulder a little bit about it. Like I mean, you know me, I love to dream. So when I'm not dreaming, I feel like there's a part of me that's missing, like a part of my soul that I'm not reaching.
mm-hmm.
I have had two dreams that were memorable. One was the 29th of June, and the other one was maybe like the 4th or the 5th of July. The first dream I had, it was interesting because it was a dream where my realities of the dreams were shifting as I was experiencing it. So I was having these two dreams at the same time, essentially, and it was kind of like wavering in and out of each other. So the first dream I had, I was at a friend's house watching their dogs. And I know this was a lot of day residue coming forward um, for one reason or the next,
Mm-hmm.
because I had just watched my friend's dogs in June. And so I was at this house, but the house wasn't their own. It was like this modern big beach house. And there was another family living there, but they were like, it was like almost like ghost images of them. Like you could feel them around and kind of sometimes see them moving, but they weren't really there. And you know what it reminds me of now that I'm thinking about it? If any of you guys have seen the movie, oh my God. Oh my goodness. The Others. Did you ever watch that movie, The Others? I think
Uh,
Nicole Kidman is in it, and it's her and her two
yeah,
kids
yeah, it's been a minute though.
from like the early 1900s or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert, the Nicole Kidman and her kids think there are people in the house, but it turns out that her and her kids are actually ghosts, and they're the other people in the house. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just that's, if you guys have seen the movie, this is kind of what the dream felt like. So then it would kind of merge into this other dream where I was working at a local gem shop, and there were these people who were hired to do like special farming for herbs, and I was helping cleaning up the shop for essentially a scavenger hunt. And while I'm cleaning up the shop, I find one of the prizes for the scavenger hunt, which is this card with like this red emblem on it. I can't remember what exactly it was, but it almost reminded me of like the Chinese New Year, like lucky money envelopes that they gift to each other. Um, but I found that just cleaning up, and I went to the counter, and again, the gem shop had the essence of the gem shop, but it wasn't the layout, it wasn't the building that it actually is in real life. Well, I go up to the counter, and one of the ladies who's supposed to be working farming is at the register. And there's kind of like a nefarious energy around her. And I hand her, like, I say that I find one of the prizes,
Mhm.
and she looks at it and she gets really like excited and she takes it. And the owner walks up and says, like, hey, what are you doing? She found this prize. Why are you taking that from her? Like, he could kind of sense that she was doing something sneaky. And
Mhm.
so he took it away from her and gave it back to me. And that was the dream. But like as I'm having the two dreams, they're like I don't know, moving in and out of each other.
Mhm.
So I essentially had the two dreams simultaneously.
Mhm.
And June 29th was that Cancer, or where we were still in that.
That was Cancer season, yeah.
Yeah. So it was very interesting the way that was coming up and how it was kind of like pulling in these different directions. And I don't really know what to make of it still at this point. I don't think I really sat and thought about it too much. Um, but the other dream,
Share what I'm just gonna share real
oh
quick.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Um, I think it like because I remember you told me this before, like when it happened, and now hearing it, I think it like to me just what came through is that it kind of feels like this new beginning that you're this next chapter that you're in, specifically like what we've been discussing around like the Jupiter and Leo for you personally, and it feels like that fortune, that good energy, that just like when you said lucky, and I'm thinking about the Chinese New Year and all of that, and just like the money envelope, and just like I know the color of it is red and yellow
Hmm.
of the envelope, and so I'm seeing that vibrancy, and so and then it's in a gem shop too, which that just feels like the mystical realm and so forth. And so, and then it was like two dreams kind of meshed together. And I feel like that's kind of representation of you being in two different worlds. And
Yeah.
it's like that exchange and that, yeah. So that's all that I just wanted to share that little bit that came through. And I was like, I can see that energy there. Like the forward aspect of that, forward focus aspect.
No, I appreciate that, and I agree. I think that something to take away from it too is that I was working in both of the dreams,
Mm-hmm.
and like how that sense of work is showing up in my space right now. And really, again, emphasizing that red emblem, like it, forward movement, fiery energy, passion, and how I'm bringing that on my journey forward. I definitely can see how that plays a role, and just like how I'm going to use that forward. So that one, I wouldn't say like that was it wasn't quite as impactful as the other one that I had. The
Mm-hmm.
other one I had was maybe like July, I don't know, it was a couple days after, like July 3rd or something like that. And my friend who recently passed away had shown up in this dream. And it was very interesting because if you've ever played Sims, like the way that you would play, it takes the roof and the ceiling off, so you're kind of like looking into a box almost. That's how the dream layout was. And my friend showed up, and essentially I was with her, and it was an attempt to keep her on the material plane, like, from passing away. And so like we were dressing up really pretty and cute, and like preparing to go out for dinner and kind of go out for drinks maybe and do something, to cheer her up and keep her wanting to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very brief. And when it comes to dreams about people, what was significant about this dream for me is I know almost immediately whether or not the dream is visitation or
Mm-hmm.
just a manifestation of my brain.
Mm-hmm.
This dream I had, I cannot say one way or the other. Like, I don't know. And
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't happen for me. It's usually yes or no, very strongly. And this was a very 50-50 with whether or not it was a visitation or a manifestation of my mind. And I'm not sure why that's so significant, but it feels significant. Um, and if you have any insight on that, I would
I
love
mean,
it.
I just think that probably I think that not being able to discern or not know, like it just is it's showing that there's a lot of emotions involved with that one way or the other. I mean, particularly if it's actual visitation, I feel like there's a more emotional weight to that. So I just feel like that's why there's like a little bit of the cloudiness is like the emotions around it. So
Yeah.
it's hard to connect to the actual like energy. But I mean, my first inclination was like, I thought you were going to be like, oh, and it was definitely visitation. And that's what I felt like it was visitation, but it was like a part of you doesn't want to feel what that feels like right now.
Right.
Like
And I
sensually
mentioned
and yeah, and emotionally.
I mentioned before that I had a dream after she passed away where she visited me. And I knew it was visitation. I could feel it. Like, again, it's normally a solid yes or a solid no. There's not usually well, I'm not sure. Um, but I know that when she visited me, it was a couple days after she passed away. And in my dream, I was begging for things not to change. And there was so much emotion and so much sadness that she dissipated and then the dream collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
With this, I almost feel like it was a similar experience where it was me trying to get things to not change. Like, I don't want, like, almost like trying to. It's so funny because, like, when someone passes away, one of the aspects of grieving is denial. And I feel like in my waking space, I've been very good not to fall into that denial. But in the dream space, I think my unconscious self is having difficulty with that.
I 100% get that. And before I truly started doing the healing work and like the grieving process with my grandmother, I had like the repeated dream experience of when she would come in my dream, we would be doing things that we usually do, or it was like, she never transitioned. And then at a certain point in the dream, I was like, wait a minute, like you're dead. And then the dream would collapse. And that's like literally like, and now doing dream work and everything, I know that that was like a part of my psyche that was trying to help me acknowledge and get out of that space of denial, because when I would wake from those dreams, it had like a very heavy emotional
Mm-hmm.
feeling at times, depending on what was happening. It was kind of like it hit me like a nightmare. Like it just kind of like rocked me for the rest of the day. Because I was like, I didn't want to acknowledge that. I didn't want to like really be seeing her in my dream space and so on. And so, yeah, I mean, that kind of makes a lot of sense. If it's like unclear, it's because it's like, there's a part of your psyche that's like, no, we're not ready to go there quite yet, but it's getting clear.
Right?
It's like, yeah, yeah. So I think it was probably a visitation, but it's just like it's safer and lighter if it's kind of in the in between right now
Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
one way or the other.
And it's interesting, both of those dreams, the way that it seemed like I was approaching the dream is like the dream was it the way that I've been approaching these types of dreams is like the dream is in the past and the waking is the future. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to prevent the inevitable from happening in the dream. But
Mm-hmm.
it's reality, the waking reality, this thing already happened.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, I mean, I'm sure there's an aspect to my conscious, or I should say my subconscious, where like even though I'm trying to be grounded in the reality of existence right now and move through it, there is the want to be in denial because it's so hard and it's so heavy and it's so tragic.
Yeah.
And I can see that being reflected definitely in the dream space.
Yeah.
And it's a weird experience. It's very odd. It's very odd to, especially because like I'm lucid in the dream,
Hmm.
and it's like I'm trying to change what happened.
Yeah. And you don't ever really do that in your dream space. So that is, yeah, that's pretty profound in itself.
It's profound and it's odd and it's, you know, it really, this is where like the dream work with moving through your shadow can kind of throw you for a loop because you think you know how you function, especially if you're an avid dreamer. You think you know how you function in the dream space,
Hmm.
and then things happen and it
Yeah.
challenges your normality.
I know. I'm really feeling that right now, like as far as certain declarations that I've made to myself and to others, in my waking life and my dream space has kind of been leading me to that point as far as relationships are concerned. And it's like now that I made the declaration, like I said, my dream was like, oh, you're gonna see what their perspective is like. And I'm like, it was so confusing when I woke up. I was like, oh, it just and yeah.
And
And
heavy, I'm
it's
sure.
heavy, confusing. Like you feel like you're not ready, but it's like I feel when you start having those dreams and you're, it's confusing, but like deep down inside, And
Right.
so it's like your psyche is, your inner being is like, you're ready, and I'm helping you get that process going. Otherwise, like you're probably gonna put it off and put it off and put it off. And it's like
No time like the
and they
present.
generate like sometimes they just generate dreams, your inner being generates certain dreams to bring about those emotions so you can just get the emotion out and start processing because you're holding a lot. So I definitely see that's been happening. I've been so emotional this lunar cycle, Cancer season, Mercury retrograde. I'm crying like every day. It's crazy. Um, so even at like, it doesn't even have to be super sad stuff, but just like, I don't know, these nostalgic videos that I see like of like millennial childhood, and I'm like, oh my God, I remember this thing. And it's been typical, like stereotypical cancer season over here, which is crazy. Um,
Right.
but we would love to hear how you guys have been dreaming. What's been coming up for you? Has it been like a waterfall or has it been a drought? Like as far as just your emotions and what's coming up. But I don't know, everyone that I've been talking to, they've been really moving through some deep emotional things. So
Absolutely.
one thing I'll share as we're closing out. So if you happen to listen to this the day we post it, which will be July 10th, um,
Hmm.
or July 11th, whichever one. Yeah, because Mercury retrograde Cazimi is on July 12th at 9:25 p.m. Eastern time. This is a very auspicious window in which Mercury aligns with the sun in that exact, quote unquote, exact alignment. Mercury enters the heart of the sun, and this is said by ancient astrologers to be a moment of good fortune, of blessings, of clarity, of healing. If I can, I like to meditate during this time, or, if you are on the Eastern time zone, or I mean, what is time, right? But when you go to bed that night, Sunday night, before you go to bed, you can set some intentions, journal, just be intentional with your space, maybe clean your space to welcome in this fresh new energy, especially since it's the day or a couple of days before the new moon.
Hmm.
That's a potent time to do that. And I love Mercury Cazimi when Mercury's retrograde because the focus is inward. And so I feel everything that we've been navigating during the Mercury retrograde cycle comes to full illumination around that time. And it's the halfway point of Mercury retrograde cycle. So the Cazimi
Right.
is always a halfway point. It's like that marker. And so we're almost on the other side of it. So yeah, so that is again July 12th. And there's a lot happening on July 11th, as well. Just wow, words. Moon is going to be in Gemini, so it's back where the cycle started, and it'll be in a waning crescent, which is like the balsamic moon, the releasing moon, kind of like the Samhain moon. And I like just the number 711, so it seems kind of auspicious and a fortunate energy potentially. And the moon will align with both Uranus that day and Mars in Gemini. So that's going to be really interesting. So this whole weekend, and leading into the new moon is going to be pretty potent in reference to releasing and all of that stuff. Yeah, in the Gemini and Cancer energy.
Right.
So yeah, it's going to be an interesting weekend. So thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for supporting us. Please like the video or like the podcast on Apple and Spotify, if that's a
Leave
thing.
a comment,
Leave a comment. I know you can
email
do that
us,
on YouTube. Follow us, subscribe, all the things.
check out our Instagram.
Check out our Instagram, show us some love there. And until then, sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams.